So today was a pretty bad day. I'm going to do an entire second dedicated video. I'm going to talk about what happened with the strike in Kyiv in this video, but then I'm going to expand on it in a second video after this because it deserves more attention. And yeah, so I'm going to do that. So let's just work through our normal stories so that we can kind of build out what's happened in the last 24 hours to help you catch up. 1,200 Russians off the battlefield, 16 tanks, 40 armored combat vehicles, 29 artillery pieces, 47 vehicles and fuel tanks, and 1 aircraft. There was a Su-27, I think, that was shot down yesterday. Okay, this is Andrew Perpetua. He does all the mapping of trying to identify what has been actually visually confirmed off the battlefield and like how much he has to do, like he's trying to identify all the things that were out. And yesterday there was about 20, like 28 to 20 or something like that of that he could identify, but this was the day before apparently, which was a pretty busy day. 3 out of 6 enemy missiles destroyed by Ukrainian air defense last night, during the night. But it wasn't just what happened during the night, it's what happened during the day that's really important. Then there was another 40 or so, about 38 missiles, 38 missiles targeting, including children's hospital and apartment buildings. They shot down 30 of them, 30 aerial targets destroyed, but 8 others got through, 3 from the night before, and it was a bad day. Russian T, I'm not going to say that word to avoid demonetization on YouTube, 40 missiles of various types were fired at Ukraine. Russian T have again massively attacked Ukraine by missiles, different cities, Kyiv, Dnipro, Kryvyi, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, more than 40 missiles of various types, housing, infrastructure, and a children's hospital were damaged. I'll give this latter bit its entire own video because it deserves it. Okay, a little bit about that incident though. This is in Pravda.ru. This is Russia claiming, we didn't do anything. Okay. Russian aerospace forces performed a deceptive maneuver during the most recent strikes and targets in Kyiv. According to Wargonzo, 4 Russian bombers were scrambled on July 8th in the morning, but they did not launch missiles. Ukraine side later said that Russian forces launched as many as 40 missiles. So where did they come from? Was it false flag or what's going on here? 4 bombers took off on July 8th, but no missiles were launched deliberately. Why would you put that qualifier in there? It's like telling your professor that you didn't cheat when he wasn't even asking if you cheated. The Russian aerospace forces changed their attack tactics and attacked the Ukrainian capital not at night, as in previous times, but during the daytime. 3 Tu-22M3 bombers launched missiles from the Milovo area as close to the area of the special military operation as possible. How can they get this close? What's going on? I'll tell you about that in another story. So that Ukrainian air defenses would have less time to respond. The Russian forces targeted objects in Kyiv. One of the missiles struck a warehouse at the Artem plant in Kyiv. Russian Defense Ministry released an official statement in connection with the attacks on Ukraine on July 8th. This is the official statement from Russian Defense Ministry. This morning, the armed forces of Russian Federation carried out a group strike with the use of long-range precision weapons targeting defense industry facilities of Ukraine and aviation bases of the armed forces of Ukraine. The goal of the strike has been achieved. The designated targets have been hit. Okay, so they're saying they hit the targets that they meant to hit. Statements from the representatives of the Kyiv regime about Russia allegedly intentional missile strikes on civilian targets are absolutely untrue. But we can see them. Who are you going to believe, them or your lying eyes? Numerous photos and video footage from Kyiv clearly confirm the fact of destruction due to the fall of Ukrainian air defense missiles launched from an anti-aircraft missile system within the city. So they're blaming the Ukrainians for the damage that they caused with intentional strikes on, it's really sick, on places, well, so here you can see the damage here, and there are multiple updating reports. So 16 people, including 7 children, wounded in missile attack. And then number of victims in Kyiv increased to 66. And then number of victims in Kyiv increased to 96, including 3 children. And then Zelensky saying 100 people injured, 27 killed in Russia's morning strike against Ukraine. And, you know, Part of this was attacking a children's hospital. Like, think about the barbarity. Like, if you want to know who the good guys are, if you knew nothing else about the war, and you just asked one question, which side is attacking a children's hospital or has attacked multiple children's hospitals? And I mean documented, we can prove with legitimate media because the other side lies. So let's say legitimate media documented which side attacks children's hospitals. That's all you need to know about who's the good guys and who are the bad guys here. This was one of the not so many places in Ukraine where children's cancer was treated. Now parents carry away their children. Where? Worst attack in 2 years. This is said by the Times of India. Indian papers generally repeat Russian talking points. So that's pretty amazing that that's what even the Times of India is saying. Where is the outcry? Children's hospital bombed in Kyiv? Where are the demonstrators? How can anyone in their right mind withhold Patriots and other defensive weapons from Ukraine? Well, that's a great question, but what are we doing? Here's the Institute for the Study of War. The Biden administration's limited policy change permitting Ukraine to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike some Russian military targets in a small area within Ukrainian territory has reduced the size of Russia's ground sanctuary by only 16% at maximum. Where are they allowed to strike? Well, they're only allowed to strike in this small little area, reducing that ability by 16% within the range of the tools that they actually have. The ATACMS missiles that they already have can go out to this outer range. So there's 80 some odd percent on the table that's left alone. U.S. policy still preserves at least 84% of Russia's ground sanctuary territory within range of Ukrainian ATACMS. And yet, this happened because they got close to the border and could attack. ISW assesses that the West maintains the ability to substantially disrupt Russian operations at scale by allowing Ukraine to use Western-provided weapons to strike at Russia's operational rear and deep rear areas in Russian territory. But we just will not allow that to happen. We could do it, but we don't have the political will to do it. An investigation also found that EU production capacity for 155 artillery shells is at least half of what EU officials have stated. Here's the actual article in Euromaidan Press. An investigation by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and a consortium of European journalists has revealed that the European Union's artillery shell production capacity is significantly lower than officially claimed. In March 2024, the European Commission claimed that European production capacity for 155mm shells had reached 1 million rounds per year by January. However, industry sources suggested the actual capacity is less than 500,000 shells annually. The EU Commissioner for Internal Market stated in June 2024 that EU manufacturers would reach a production capacity of 1.7 million shells per year by the end of 2024. However, a high-ranking source in the European arms industry, speaking anonymously, said the current capacity is only a third of that figure. Ukraine's defense minister stated that the current need of defense forces is 200,000 shells per month, a demand that neither the EU nor the US can fully meet. Investigation also found that not all shells produced in the EU are sent to Ukraine, as EU countries keep some ammunition for themselves to replenish their own stocks and meet NATO requirements. So that's where we are. Fun times. So Greg Terry is on his rounds to the front, and he saw this. Rest in peace, Peter. That's Pete the medic. And NAFO truck. It's kind of nice to see. By the way, if you want to give to Pete's last project, Project Constantine, yesterday, there was 91,000 raised by yesterday morning, yesterday in the evening. It was up to 93,123. And let's refresh this again and see where we are. We are now at 95,000 out of 320,000. And I'll just keep at this because he deserves to have this final project wish fulfilled, and that's what I'm just going to keep doing. So I'm sorry for the bad news today, but you need to know what's actually happening, and I'm going to give a fuller treatment to what happened with the Children's Hospital in the next video. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.